Kids, we know that going to Sandy's is a lot of fun.
He says we're going to Gino's. We go to Gino's.
Hi, we want you to come to Bonanza, so here's what we're going to do.
In the 1980s, dining out was an adventure, but only sometimes in a good way. Imagine stepping into a restaurant full of anticipation, only to be greeted by disappointment on a plate. These were the kind of places that made you wish you'd chosen takeout instead. From soggy fries to meals that tasted like they came straight from a science experiment gone wrong, these restaurants were the stuff of culinary nightmares. Join us as we journey back to explore the 20 worst restaurants in the 1980s that nobody wants to go back to. Number 1. Burger Queen, various locations. Burger Queen was a fast food chain that started in 1956 in Winter Haven, Florida. Harold and Helen Kite founded it, and it flourished, especially in smaller towns in Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana.
Welcome to the Burger Queen Salad Bar. Salad bar with everything.
However, by the 1980s, the chain struggled to compete with larger fast food giants like Burger King and McDonald's due to subpar food quality and lackluster service. In 1981, the company decided to rebrand itself as Druthers, which was mostly a cosmetic change. The menu remained largely the same. The rebranding was an attempt to shift the perception from being a burger-only restaurant to one that also offered fried chicken and a serve-yourself salad bar. Despite efforts to improve, the chain could not shake its reputation for subpar quality and service, leading to its closure in 1991. Subsequently, the company transitioned into a Dairy Queen franchise. However, one former Druthers location still operates independently. Similar to Burger Queen, another restaurant from the 1980s also struggled with poor customer reviews. Number 2. Bennigan's. Bennigan's, an Irish pub-themed American casual dining restaurant chain, was founded in 1976 by Norman E. Brinker in Atlanta. During the 1980s, it was owned by the Pillsbury Corporation. The chain operated under Pillsbury's restaurant division until Pillsbury was acquired by the British liquor conglomerate Grand Metropolitan.
See you at Bennigan's.
We need this now.
Now?
Tonight.
Like tonight?
Like yesterday.
When you need to
Not tomorrow?
escape from the everyday,
Tonight.
escape to Bennigan's.
Bennigan's restaurant gained popularity for its cozy pub-like ambiance and menu featuring Irish-inspired dishes like shepherd's pie and fish and chips. However, as the 1980s progressed, Bennigan's faced increasing criticism for its declining food quality and inconsistent service. Despite efforts to revamp its image and menu, including introducing new items like grilled chicken and pasta dishes, Bennigan's struggled to regain its former reputation. The chain faced financial challenges, leading to the closure of many locations in the late 1980s and early 1990s. Ultimately, the combination of food quality issues, service problems, and financial difficulties contributed to Bennigan's being widely disliked during the 1980s. Number 3. Wag's. Wag's was a family-friendly restaurant with locations across the USA during the 1980s. It was owned and operated by Walgreens and aimed to provide a casual dining experience for families. The first Wag's restaurant opened in the 1960s, and by the 1980s, it had expanded to various locations. One main reason Wag's was disliked was its mediocre food quality. Despite its efforts to offer a diverse menu, including burgers, sandwiches, and comfort food favorites like fried chicken, many customers found the food to be average or below par. Additionally, Wag's decor was often criticized for needing to be updated and to keep up with evolving restaurant trends. These factors, combined with increasing competition from other family-friendly chains and a shift in consumer preferences, contributed to Wag's struggle during the 1980s. The chain faced financial challenges and closures of some locations, leading to its decline in popularity and reputation during that decade. Wag's struggle during the 1980s mirrored the challenges faced by other family-friendly chains, such as Shakey's Pizza Parlor, which, despite its lively entertainment offerings, received criticism for its lackluster food quality. Number 4. Shakey's Pizza Parlor. Shakey's Pizza Parlor was founded in Sacramento, California on April the 30th of 1954 by Sherwood Shakey Johnson and Ed Plummer. It was renowned for its entertainment offerings, including live music and arcade games. However, despite its lively atmosphere and entertainment, Shakey's Pizza was criticized for its bland taste and greasy texture. The first Shakey's Pizza Parlor opened in 1954, and by the 1980s it had expanded to various locations nationwide. While customers enjoyed the fun ambiance and activities, many found the pizza needed more flavor and needed to be greasy, detracting from the overall dining experience. Despite efforts to improve the quality of their pizza and introduce new menu items, Shakey's struggled to shake off its reputation for mediocre pizza during the 1980s. This contributed to declining customer satisfaction and impacted the chain's overall popularity during that decade. Number 5. G.D. Ritzy's. G.D. Ritzy's, founded by Graydon Webb in Columbus, Ohio, was known for its ice cream and fast food offerings. Despite its popularity for ice cream treats like sundaes and shakes and fast food items like burgers and fries, it operated in various locations across the USA during the 1980s. G.D. Ritzy faced challenges that led to its criticism and decline. The first G.D. Ritzy restaurant opened in the late 1970s, and by the 80s, it had expanded to multiple locations. However, one of the main issues G.D. Ritzy faced was food quality inconsistency. Customers often reported variations in the taste and freshness of their food, which affected their overall dining experience. Additionally, G.D. Ritzy struggled to compete with larger fast food chains with more extensive menus and established brand recognition. This competitive pressure and the challenges of maintaining consistent food quality across its locations contributed to its dislike during the 1980s. Similarly, York Steakhouse, another popular chain known for its affordable steak dinners, faced the same fate due to struggles in maintaining food quality and service inconsistency. Number 6. York Steakhouse. York Steakhouse gained popularity for its affordable steak dinners. The chain opened its first location in the early 1960s and expanded to various locations across the USA. However, during the 1980s, York Steakhouse struggled to maintain quality and consistency in its food and service. Owned by General Mills Restaurants, York Steakhouse aimed to provide budget-friendly steak options to customers. They serve classic steak dishes along with sides like baked potatoes and salads. Despite its initial success, many customers complained about overcooked steaks, bland flavors, and slow service, leading to a decline in popularity and ultimately resulting in the closure of many of its locations by the late 1980s. Number 7. Sambo's. Sambo's was an American restaurant chain founded in 1957 by Sam Battistone Sr. and Noel Bonnet in Santa Barbara, California. Unfortunately, the name and the founders' names echoed the title character from the children's book The Story of Little Black Sambo, leading to racial insensitivity controversy. The chain expanded rapidly, boasting 1,117 locations by 1979. Despite its growth, Sambo's faced backlash for its name and theme, which many considered derogatory. The decor included scenes from the book, further associating the brand with a controversial character. This, coupled with what was perceived as mediocre food quality, led to widespread criticism. The pressure to change the name and the mounting protest eventually took a toll. The chain filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 1981, and most locations were sold or closed. The original location in Santa Barbara continued to operate under the Sambo's name until 2020, when it was finally renamed due to the George Floyd protest against racism. This contrasted sharply with the success of Howard Johnson's, a beloved American dining institution known for its iconic orange roofs and diverse menu offerings. Number 8. Howard Johnson's. Howard Johnson's, affectionately known as Hojo's, was a staple of American roadside dining, famous for its iconic orange roofs and blue shutters. Founded in 1925 by Howard Deering Johnson, it began as a small soda fountain in Quincy, Massachusetts. By the 1950s and 60s, it had become the most prominent American restaurant chain. However, by the 1980s, Howard Johnson's began to struggle. The once beloved chain faced stiff competition from fast food joints and casual dining establishments that offered quicker service and more modern menus. The quality of food at Howard Johnson's, once praised for its 28 flavors of ice cream and signature clam strips, were perceived to be declining. The Marriott Corporation acquired Howard Johnson's from a British conglomerate, and the brand's shine dimmed as restaurants closed across the country. The chain's inability to adapt to American diners' rapidly changing taste and expectations ultimately led to its downfall. The last Howard Johnson's restaurant closed in 2022. Number 9. Geno's Hamburgers. Geno's Hamburgers was a fast food restaurant chain that opened its first location in 1957 in Dundalk, Maryland. Baltimore Colts defensive end Gino Marchetti founded it with his teammates Alan Amici, Joe Campanella, and his friend Louis Fisher. The chain was known for its hamburgers, including the Sirloiner, the Jumbo Gino, and the Gino Giant, which competed with the Big Mac. Despite the celebrity endorsement and initial success, Geno's Hamburgers faced challenges. The expansion into regions where Marchetti was less known, like Massachusetts and Connecticut, led to confusion with Papa Gino's pizza chain and contributed to the closure of those locations. Additionally, inconsistent food quality across various locations led to customer criticism. The chain grew to 359 company-owned locations before being acquired by the Marriott Corporation in 1982. Marriott discontinued the Geno's brand, converting many locations to its Roy Rogers Restaurants chain. The last independently owned Geno's in Pasadena, Maryland, closed in 1986. Speaking of forgettable food experiences, there's another restaurant from the 80s that people wish they could forget. Number 10. Chi-Chi's. Chi-Chi's was a Mexican-themed restaurant founded in 1975 in Richfield, Minnesota by restaurateur Marno McDermott and former Green Bay Packers player Max McGee. Chi-Chi's was derived from McDermott's wife's nickname. The chain was known for its Tex-Mex cuisine and festive atmosphere, with slogans like "A celebration of food" and "Life always needs a little salsa." Despite its initial popularity, Chi-Chi's faced significant challenges in the 1980s. The chain's rapid expansion led to management turnover and inconsistent food quality. Moreover, Chi-Chi's struggled to compete with emerging casual dining chains and changing consumer taste. The most damaging blow came in 2003 when a hepatitis A outbreak linked to contaminated green onions at a Chi-Chi's in Pennsylvania resulted in over 600 infections and 4 deaths. This public health crisis severely tarnished the brand's reputation, leading to a decline in patronage. Chi-Chi's filed for bankruptcy in 2002, and the last of its U.S. locations closed in 2004. The brand continued in Europe for a while, but eventually ceased operations there. Number 11. Sandy's Hamburgers. Sandy's Hamburgers was a chain of American fast food restaurants that began in 1956 by 4 businessmen from Kewanee, Illinois: Gus Brick Lundberg, Robert C. Winger, Paul White, and W.K. Davidson. It was known for its Scottish-themed brand, which aimed to compete with McDonald's. The menu featured items like a 15-cent hamburger, a 20-cent milkshake, and a 10-cent bag of French fries. Despite early success, Sandy's faced challenges in food quality and competition. Eventually, many of Sandy's locations were converted into Hardee's restaurants after a takeover in the late 1970s. The struggle to maintain consistent food quality in the face of stiff competition from larger chains was a significant factor in the dislike. Sandy's officially ceased operations in 1979. As the flame of Sandy's Hamburgers flickered and dimmed in the harsh winds of the fast food industry, another was kindling in the warm hearth of Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips. Number 12. Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips. Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips was named after the English actor known for his butler roles. Initially called National Fast Food Corps, the franchise company was founded in Columbus, Ohio in 1969. Its principals included S. Robert Davis, who built and leased several Colonel Sanders Kentucky Fried Chicken properties, and Dave Thomas, the future founder of Wendy's. At its peak in the late 1970s, the chain boasted 826 stores across the United States. The menu primarily featured fried seafood or chicken, accompanied by chips. The decline of Arthur Treacher's began in the 1980s, attributed to overexpansion and competition from other seafood chains. Additionally, changes in consumer taste and the rising fish costs led to a decrease in the quality of their offerings. This resulted in widespread criticism and the closure of many locations. By March of 2023, only 3 standalone locations remained. The brand's struggle symbolized the challenges fast food chains face in adapting to changing markets and maintaining quality during rapid growth. Number 13, Victoria Station. Victoria Station was a chain of restaurants known for its unique train station-themed dining experience. It opened its first location in the 1960s and expanded to various locations across the USA during the 80s. The restaurants were designed to resemble train stations, with car dining rooms and railway-themed decor. Owned by Victoria Station Incorporated, the chain served various dishes, including steaks, seafood, and salads. However, Victoria Station faced several challenges during the 1980s, despite its intriguing concept and early success. One of the main issues was overpricing, with many customers feeling that the food quality and dining experience did not justify the menu prices. Additionally, there were complaints about declining food quality, with some customers reporting inconsistency in preparation and taste. These factors contributed to a decline in Victoria Station's popularity during the 1980s, leading to the closure of several locations by the end of the decade. The chain's struggle to maintain its unique concept while meeting customer expectations ultimately led to its downfall. Moving on from Victoria Station, here's a look at another restaurant that didn't quite cut it in the 80s. Number 14, Lum's. Lum's was a unique American family restaurant chain founded in 1956 by brothers Stewart and Clifford S. Perlman in Miami Beach, Florida. They started with a simple hot dog stand, purchased for $10,000, and expanded over 400 locations by 1972, including in the U.S., Puerto Rico, and European sites. The chain was known for its signature hot dogs steamed in beer, a novelty that initially drew in crowds. However, the 1980s brought challenges. Lum's began to struggle after changing hands multiple times, including a purchase by the chairman of Kentucky Fried Chicken and later a Swiss holding company. The Swiss firm's bankruptcy in 1982 closed many of Lum's locations. The decline of Lum's was due to a combination of factors: shifting ownership, financial troubles, and perhaps a waning interest in their beer-steamed hot dogs as dining trends evolved. The last Lum's location closed on May the 28th of 2017, marking the end of an era for this once popular chain. Number 15, Bonanza Steakhouse. Bonanza Steakhouse, a name derived from the popular TV series Bonanza, was founded in 1963 by Dan Blocker, who played Eric Hoss Cartwright on the show. The first location opened in Westport, Connecticut, and the chain grew to approximately 600 restaurants by 1989. Owned by Sam Wiley and his brother Charles after they bought the chain, Bonanza offered a buffet-style menu with steaks, seafood, and chicken entrees. In the 1980s, Bonanza faced criticism for the quality of its food, particularly for tough steaks and a lack of variety, which led to a decline in popularity. The chain struggle was part of a broader trend to casual dining establishments failing to adapt to changing consumer taste and the economic challenges of the era. Despite its efforts, Bonanza could not maintain its early success, leading to the closure of many locations over time. Bonanza Steakhouse may have been a flop, but it's nothing compared to the failure of Brewster's Chicken. Number 16, Brewster's Chicken. Brewster's Chicken was a chain of restaurants owned by Frank Carney, co-founder of Pizza Hut. It was known for its fried chicken offerings and had locations across various regions in the USA during the 1980s. Despite gaining popularity for its crispy and flavorful fried chicken, Brewster's faced challenges maintaining consistency in taste and quality. The first Brewster Chicken restaurant opened in the late 1970s, and by the 80s, it had expanded to multiple locations. Customers appreciated Brewster's for its signature fried chicken recipe, which featured a blend of herbs and spices that created a distinctive flavor profile. However, Brewster's needed help with maintaining consistent standards across its locations. Some customers reported variations in the taste and quality of the fried chicken, with some experiences needing to be more satisfying than others. This inconsistency in food quality became a point of criticism for Brewster during the 1980s. Despite efforts to address these issues and improve consistency, Brewster's faced challenges in meeting customer expectations across its chain of restaurants. This contributed to its reputation for being disliked by some customers during that decade. Number 17. Steak and Ale. Established by the Pillsbury Company, Steak and Ale was a chain of restaurants with various locations across the USA during the 1980s, known for its affordable steaks and casual dining atmosphere. However, despite its initial popularity, Steak and Ale faced challenges that led to declining food quality and the closures of many locations. The first Steak and Ale restaurant opened in the 1960s, and by the 80s, it had established itself as a go-to spot for steak lovers seeking reasonably priced meals. Customers enjoyed the menu variety, which included steaks, seafood, salads, and appetizers. Unfortunately, as the 1980s progressed, Steak and Ale faced criticism for declining food quality. Many customers reported needing to be more consistent in preparing steaks and other dishes, leading to dissatisfaction with their dining experiences. These issues, combined with changes in consumer preferences and increased competition from other restaurant chains, contributed to Steak and Ale's decline. As a result, Steak and Ale closed many of its locations during the 1980s, marking a downturn in its once popular reputation for affordable steaks and casual dining. If you thought Steak and Ale was bad, wait until you hear about this other 1980s restaurant that people wish never existed. Number 18. Gobbler Supper Club, Wisconsin. Alan and Janet Buss owned the Gobbler Supper Club in Wisconsin. It was known during the 80s for its Thanksgiving-themed decor and dining experience. Despite its unique and festive ambiance, the restaurant faced criticism for its mediocre food quality. The Gobbler Supper Club featured a menu that reflected traditional American cuisine, including Thanksgiving favorites like roast turkey, stuffing, and cranberry sauce. However, customers often found that the food tasted average and needed more flavor than other dining options. While the restaurant's themed decor and seasonal offerings attracted patrons seeking a nostalgic dining experience, the consistency of food quality ultimately led to customer satisfaction. This criticism contributed to the Gobbler Supper Club's challenges during the 1980s. Despite its efforts to maintain its Thanksgiving theme and provide a memorable dining atmosphere, the Gobbler Supper Club struggled to meet diners' expectations of food quality, leading to a decline in popularity during that decade. Number 19. Wimpy's. Edward Gold founded Wimpy's, known initially as Wimpy Grills, in 1934 in Bloomington, Indiana. The name was inspired by J. Wellington Wimpy from the Popeye cartoons. Despite its early success, Wimpy struggled to compete with fast food giants like McDonald's and Burger King in the U.S., leading to its closure in 1977. The inconsistency in food quality was a significant factor in its struggle, as customers tend to favor reliable and consistent dining experiences. The brand's inability to adapt to the evolving fast food market also contributed to its decline in popularity. Wimpy's menu included hamburgers, fries, and other typical fast food items, but it also offered unique items like hot dog vendors and pastries in the UK. Meanwhile, the chain still operates internationally, particularly in the UK and South Africa, where it has undergone rebranding efforts. Stepping away from Wimpy's, let's shift our focus to Sloppy Spatula, another forgettable restaurant from the 80s. Number 20. The Sloppy Spatula. The Sloppy Spatula opened in 1982 and closed in 1986 under the ownership of chef Benny McBurns. Specializing in overcooked burgers and soggy fries, the